Hi everyone. I'm getting more video. I'm getting more video requests about detoxification because of the big challenge going on with the planet at the moment. So, and what I'm seeing, and I'm sure everyone who's in a position where they have to choose whether or not to uh, have their body autonomy taken away from them. So I want to talk about a few things now. I was just listening again. I'm trying to listen to as many functional medicine doctors as I can about what we can do afterwards to pull out the toxins. One, I listened to a lot of Professor Dolores Carl yesterday, and she said that many of the medications around the world at the moment have up to 5 heavy metals in them. And she actually mentioned steel, aluminium, mercury, titanium, but she also mentioned another one. I can't remember which one it was, so I do apologise. Possibly silver, because I see that a lot in my oligo scans, but that's just a guess. I honestly can't remember. So, from a heavy metal perspective, things like we need to be binding those nutrients to help get them out of the body. So, when I'm working with clients, I will be working with substances like glutathione and N-acetylcysteine. Both of those have a binding effect on heavy metals. They work differently. Then there's products like Toxiprevent. So it's one of the zeolite products that goes into the gut in different areas. There's the capsules, and there's also the powders. So I've been using them for several years and get really good success, especially with people who are quite sensitive. Sorry, I'm moving around my clinic. So they're two of the things that I use. I use a lot of those in my detox processes, and they come in various forms. There's many. Just when you're doing your research on it, try to find one that's recommended by a good doctor, so, and I don't know what you'll be able to get around the world, but it's worth finding one. Obviously, things that have lots of St. Mary's thistle in. St. Mary's thistle helps to, I don't have one on the shelf, but basically liver supplements that support both phase 1 and phase 2 liver detoxification. So phase 1 liver detoxification is converting fat soluble toxins into water soluble toxins, and phase 2 gets it out of the liver, ish. But the more toxins we've got in the liver that we can't deal with, we end up with fatty liver. And there's a lot of fatty liver, and they've even found fatty liver in baby autopsies because the planet and what we're doing to ourselves as human beings with all our eating lots of genetically modified organisms and the pollution and pesticides and glyphosates, aluminium, mercury, all that sort of thing is quite high. So there's also things like Enduracell. So you've heard me talk about sulforaphane before. So Enduracell or Sulfuraclear or or Brock shots, if you can get any of those. So basically those are all sulforaphane products which I use. That you need something that it's been carefully looked after in the lab. So if you just get, say, a jar of broccoli sprouts, that will probably be oxidized. So it may not work as well as having something that is vacuum packed and sealed to actually keep the sulforaphane from being damaged. But go onto YouTube, Google sulforaphane, and there are so many videos about all the benefits. It works on over 200 of our genes, and it's a bit of a gene DNA assault going on the planet at the moment. That we need to be really looking at. So I suspect that sulforaphane is going to be something that I'll be using a lot over the next 5, 10, 15 years as all the effects really start taking hold. There's a lot of neurological symptoms that I'm seeing, Bell's palsy, and things like, full body twitches, seizures, that type of thing. So I would be suspecting we're going to need some really good B12 products. If you've got a GP or a functional medicine doctor who does B12 injections, that could be something to think about. I'm not an injection girl. I would rather take 20 tablets a day. That's just me. I'm terrified of needles. But anyway, so the activated B12 can be really good for the neurological symptoms that people seem to be getting. And then there's also things like if we get into the whole nervous system, there's a substance called PEA that has a lot of research with it over the last couple of years, which is, I'm going to spell this wrong, but it's something like palmidrol, palmitoyl ethanolamide. So basically, PEA. It's in the hemp family, I believe. And there's, in Australia, certainly, there's several forms of it, but it's being used by a lot of naturopaths the last few years and functional medicine doctors to help with neurological symptoms, neurological pain. Personally, I haven't had a great lot of success with it, but if you've had success, let me know. I love hearing stories about people who have tried things and they've just worked for them. If you are getting to the spot where you feel like you're like exhaustion, chronic fatigue, because a lot of something like I think it's about 2 to 3% of people after the toxin load, they can't function, they can't get out of bed, they can't go to a job. So that tells me that maybe this is just guessing, but maybe there's something going on stopping our stem cells from being released. So which often happens if there's too much cortisol, fibrin, clotting factors going around in the bloodstream. So something that helps the stem cells, to be released from the body, that can be an idea. Yeah, and with and one of the things that I heard is that one of the medications actually does something. It's what they found in some very, very small mouse trials, I believe, is that it seemed to destroy phase 2 macrophages. So phase 1 macrophages release the ability to kill viruses or bacteria. Phase 2 comes in and does the healing. So the medication is releasing phase 1 macrophages, but it's actually destroying phase 2 macrophages. So that's where Professor Dolores Carl and Christiane Northrup and Judy Mikovits and people like that are saying it's not going to be immediately we see the damage. It's going to be down the track when we get a follow-up flu, or because there's 36 coronaviruses on the planet and only 7 seem to affect humans. But that was something Professor Dolores Carl said yesterday. And she said that 30% or 20 to 30% of the common cold, 20 to 30% of influenza can be coronaviruses causing these symptoms. So it's going to be the next time we get one of these that we get that immune enhancement. So it's like a upregulation of our immune system, where our immune system starts attacking our organs again, or those viral or bacterial cells. And the problem is going to be that because we don't have the phase 2 macrophages, we can't heal afterwards. So I suspect that there's going to be needing to be some really good supplements for, say, healing the lungs. Once again, thinking lungs, thinking vitamin A and D, thinking herbs like mullein and elecampane. So I think we're going to have to elderflowers and elderberries and things like that. So when we get into the actual damage and the long-term effects, I think it's going to have to be looking at the individual, because I think that's going to come down to our genetics as to how we're coping with it. So if it's the lungs, we need the essential fatty acids, we need to boost, once again, the medicinal mushrooms. They tend to increase the phase 2 macrophages, but I'm going to have to do some research on that and find out what else does that. I suspect that, once again, because this has been seen all throughout 2020, the higher our levels of zinc and C and vitamin D, the more protected we are anyway from both the effects, side effects, and healing afterwards. So what else? Let me think. Oh, vitamin C. Good old vitamin C. Vitamin C is both a fat and water-soluble antioxidant. Zinc helps over 500 liver pathways to work better. Vitamin D is involved in every single immune function in the body. So, good old vitamins and minerals that don't have to cost the earth can make a big difference. And I know cost is going to be a thing, but, at what cost? Life. So, and my good old zeolites. So, I love my zeolite products that have been heated to up over 900 degrees. So if that hasn't happened, then like I've said before, we can't really detox properly. Oh, no, sorry, it doesn't pull all the toxins out of the zeolite. So, zeolite's a natural mineral on the planet. The only thing it does on the planet is actually pull toxins out. So, when they mine zeolite but don't cleanse it, it's got all sorts of stuff in it, like pesticides and glyphosates and dioxins and heavy metals and all sorts of things. So, if you don't cleanse it, you're actually putting toxins into your body. And we just need to find good brands. And unfortunately, that's one of the few that I've found that has actually had that heating process and that release. B complex, really important. So even just a really good multivitamin a couple of times a day will be protective. Don't know where you are on the planet and I know there's a lot of snow and freezing cold. So, if I say to get outside into the sunshine, people will be rolling their eyes at me, and that's fine. I think keeping ourselves spiritually strong is really important at this time, so that we keep ourselves calm, we keep ourselves out of fear, we keep ourselves trusting and knowing our immune systems, because the last year has been all about destroying our trust in our immune system. And our immune system is phenomenal. It's phenomenal. How are we alive on this planet without this amazing immune system of ours? What other sort of symptoms have I seen on the VAER? So it's VAERS website. Right. There's 21% of the symptoms. I saw this in a Robert F. Kennedy article last week. 21% of the side effects so far, I think in the States, had been cardiovascular or heart attacks, strokes, cardiovascular incidences. So I'm sure that included things like tachycardia and bradycardia and blood pressure. So once again, mindfulness, bringing yourself back down, getting some really good meditations, visualizations, getting into that Wim Hof breathing that we've talked about before, or Kerwin Ray this morning was talking about the 666 breathing pattern. I immediately thought, I'm going to do 777. So breathing in for 7, holding for 7, breathing out for 7, holding for 7, breathing in for 7, holding for 7, breathing out for 7, holding for 7, so that you're constantly, sorry, that's just my brain doing crazy things. If the guts feel, probably probiotics and digestive enzymes if it's a digestive symptom. So some people have had unidentified gut issues. Anaphylaxis. Oh my God, anaphylaxis is one of the big ones, isn't it? The allergies. So basically that anaphylaxis is, of course, when your throat closes over, your tongue swells and you can't breathe and you feel like you're going to die. So anaphylaxis is about that allergic symptom. So it's the T helper 2 cells and really them driving. So once again, I think, because I did see some of the ingredients in the medications are things like histidine, and there's several types of histidine, and that can be involved in allergic reactions. There's another ingredient that there's a big, there's been lawsuits about it. I think that's more in the Moderna than the Pfizer. I'm not sure. Anyway, I'm doing a fairly long seminar for naturopaths here in Australia next week on the and everything in it. So I'll do an update then. I know this triggers people, and hey, if you want to go get the medication, you do it, and then we'll just, like, for me, it's about keeping me safe, keeping my family safe, keeping my clients safe, and I have been working my tush off for the last year trying to listen to people who have solutions on the other side of things, because you could see back in March last year they were talking about mandatory, because of course as human beings we're not allowed to have choice. So there is that. So I think those are probably the main things. If people do end up with chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia from it, I think a lot of that is about the toxins. So then once again, it's about getting the sulforaphane, switching on your detox pathways, switching off your anti-inflammatory pathways. Lots of purified fish oils. So fish oils, again, they're toxic because the fish live in the ocean. The oceans are really toxic. So we need, if you're buying fish oils, they need to be a really high standard fish oils. Otherwise, you're again taking in lots of toxins, dioxins, heavy metals into your body through your fish oils. So that can increase problems. So with fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue, there's a few things that can go on. Small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, so the FODMAP diet can be an idea. There can be a imbalance with, it can allow candida fungus to grow in the gut. So once again, just sort of thinking about gut health. Sometimes, once again, the digestive enzymes to support your meals, to break down everything you're eating, having probiotics to help to rebalance things, making sure you are purifying your water. Once again, you don't need more chlorine and fluoride going in at the moment with all the toxicity going on and the stress toxins. It's just one more thing that we can do to keep ourselves protected and to keep ourselves healthier. I did an oligo scan in the last few days from someone who had been through cancer treatments last year, and it's been a really aggressive inability to get out of pain ever since the cancer and radiation treatments. And I know this is a different thing, but when I did the oligo scan, the mercury was incredibly high. So were leads, silvers, cadmium, I think. But one of the main things that struck me was that her oxidative protection was rock bottom. Oxidative stress was through the roof. So that means there's free radical damage going on in the body, and the body is not coping with it. And it's sort of like allowing, like the analogy, once again, that Professor Dolores Carl used yesterday with something else, was that it's like having a ball bearing in a watermelon and having that ball bearing inside just whipping around, shearing the tissue of the watermelon. And I suspect that this is sort of what it's like when we've got free radical damage. Our cells just aren't healing. And once again, if these medications are stopping phase 2 macrophages and actually destroying phase 2 macrophages, we've just got to keep ourselves as healthy as we possibly can. Okay. That's all I have to say about that. Okay. Oh, and eat really well. Obviously, eat well. So, okay. Take care. Love you. Bye.